Here's what most people get wrong about AI. They ask it a prompt, get an answer, move on with it. It's not the best way to use AI. And today I'm going to show you why. When you really connect AI, I'm talking about a reasoning model, to a model context protocol, MCP environment, or an API, the amount of value that that produces the amount of scaffolding it does and the amount of efficiency that it brings can dramatically improve the efficiency of your day-to-day SEO work. And I'm going to show you how with an example. So stick around, watch the full video. All right, so here you can see what I've really entered is a very basic prompt. I want to do good research using Ahrefs to understand the entire WooCommerce hosting competitive landscape. I want to know both the managed and the self-managed WooCommerce hosting space. People selling the $2, $199 plan and people selling the $15 to $20 per month plan. Now, the important point to understand is your initial prompt can be basic, but the more context you give to AI, the more easier it is going to be for you to get to the final outcome. So normally I'd recommend you add all the context about your business, who you are, what your brand positioning is. If you're doing this for a product, what your product positioning messaging is, who is your ICP, who is the persona, and then kind of frame it in a way so that AI has all the context. And with all that context, AI is going to be able to help you much more compared to if you were just saying, hey, do keyword research for XYZ keyword. Why? Because AI is dumb. Right. So as you can see, once it does that, start spitting out all the things that it would start doing, the research plan in Ahrefs, I would go to keyword bucket, I would do this, I would do this. I would then map the SERP before you map the market. I would then use organic competitors for seed domains. I would pull organic keywords for each competitor. I would build a landscape matrix, and then for each step, there is a bucket. So there are keywords or topics or entities that AI from its own brain just spitting out. And so it's very important that you validate all of this. But for this example, it was fine. Don't trust the homepage pricing alone. Track these separately because there is, for this industry, there is all sorts of nuances. Research by SERP cluster, not just by brand, because you want to make sure you're not cannibalizing. Look at pages, not just domains. Use the targeted keyword gaps to find white space. So if you are an SEO professional and you've been doing this for a while, you probably already have a well thought out method or a well planned strategy to do your SEO keyword research. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel if you already know that. Just say, hey, here is what I'm trying to do. I was just trying to be even more liberal, if you will, and let AI tell me how I should be doing this. Really, when you get to the next step, you'll see why I did this versus giving it my own. My biggest recommendation, do not define. So I said, okay, I'm actually going to be using Ahrefs MCP and then give it the URL of the Ahrefs MCP for ChatGPT documentation. So turn this into a detailed prompt, step by step, telling everything to do, and finally the output is shared in a downloadable Excel file. I'm going to use Ahrefs MCP and ChatGPT 5.4 thinking as the model. Then it does again some reasoning, and finally it comes back with this master prompt. Here is the prompt. What you can see is I'm in the ChatGPT environment using developer mode. The MCP is connected here. Here is the prompt that I was talking about. So you can see it explicitly asks ChatGPT to use only the Ahrefs MCP connector for all the data collection. Do not use ChatGPT web search, browser search, prior memory, or any source outside Ahrefs MCP unless I explicitly ask you to. If a required field or report is unclear, first use the Ahrefs MCP doc act for that endpoint and then continue. I used the official Ahrefs MCP ChatGPT documentation. Fed that link to ChatGPT and said, listen, use this to create a detailed prompt for Ahrefs or using Ahrefs MCP for ChatGPT. So you don't even have to reinvent the wheel here. Ahrefs has already given you the official documentation. So just share the link to this documentation. You guys, these models are really, really smart. You can figure stuff out. So when there are specific instructions, best results often come from structured prompt like this. By the way, I totally think Ahrefs is underselling their MCP at this point. They should totally update. But you feed this to ChatGPT and say, use this, you know what I need, create a detailed prompt. And look at the detailed prompt that this is created. You have a segment, you want a complete SEO strategy and category landscape analysis of WooCommerce hosting market split into two overlapping segments. Manage WooCommerce hosting, budget or cheap WooCommerce hosting. What is your goal? Working rules. This is very, very important. Be extremely explicit and methodical. Use Ahrefs MCP step by step. When you need schema details, call the doc first, show your reasoning. For query risks being too large, break it into batches. By the way, all of this, ChatGPT came up with it. I only reviewed to make sure it makes sense, and I let it be. Where possible, separate commercial. There is a phase one, bucket one, because you got to feed. The AI is dumb. Guys, we talked about this. The AI is dumb. So you got to feed it what good looks like. So bucket one, example of manage WooCommerce intent, budget intent, broader overlap terms, and explicitly said do not stop at example terms. Expand them using Ahrefs. For Ahrefs, actions to use, 1, 2, 3, 4. If useful, also use search suggestions. These are the reports. If you're familiar with Ahrefs, you know you would put in WooCommerce hosting as a keyword and go to Keyword Explorer. From there, look at matching terms, then maybe look at related terms, look at overview, so on and so forth. Country filter was US for me. For each keyword bucket, it comes down. So you keep going down the list and you can see, then it goes to SERP landscape for the top head terms in each bucket. I also want to pull all the SERP, do SERP analysis, understand what is happening. Is it a money page? Is it a company money page? It's a company feature landing page. It's affiliate page, review page, tutorial, marketplace. What kind of page is this? Reach ranking result, capture when available, all of these things. Then summarize for each keyword, which domains dominate. So every single step that you would normally expect a SEO specialist to do manually, step by step, using Ahrefs. If that is a tool of your choice, you can now scaffold the whole thing and put that into a ChatGPT using Ahrefs MCP and just single-handedly let it run for a good chunk of time and help you with the final output that you need. This is seed competitor discovery. So this is also a popular technique of how a lot of SEOs do keyword research. Your seed competitor, then extract all the keywords that they're ranking for, and then kind of do mix and match and see what keywords are driving traffic to what competitors. So do competitive analysis for keyword research, do domain level competitive analysis, and then for each domain, you're building their strengths, their strategic fields. For page level analysis, you're identifying what the user intent is, what is the content on this. Is this a blog type article? Is this a listicle? Is this a product landing page? Is this a compare page? Keeps going. Guys, this does not stop. Keep going. Keyword portfolio tagging. Now you have all the data. Now you start tagging keywords based on these intents, again, pulled from Ahrefs. Which brands over-index and manage, which brands now, because we've collected all the data, right? So we can start doing the manual analysis process. Price band and offer map. This is a little bit manual here. So it will try to pull what it can, but obviously, it just does not know the price. Explicit instructions. Do not hallucinate exact pricing. If exact pricing cannot be verified from Ahrefs only, classify into low, medium confidence. Okay. And I'll show you how to do that using ChatGPT once you have the Excel file. And then there is a gap analysis. So this is where you identify the white space and strategic gaps. Which domains dominate, which domains dominate cheap. Again, whatever your SEO process is, you obviously think you have the best process out there. You do you. I'm not defining the process that you should follow. All I'm saying is whatever process you follow, as long as all you are doing is going to Ahrefs, pulling a bunch of reports, doing some analysis, and then stitching all together to call that a strategy, then that is now doable using Ahrefs MCP for the most part. There might be edge cases, but for the most part, it's doable using Ahrefs MCP and a LLM of your choice that has a extended thinking model. I have access to ChatGPT Pro, so I use 5.4 thinking, but you are a Claude fan or you are a Gemini person, you do you. Whatever extended thinking model works for you. Hey, this might even work with, I don't know, some open source free models like Llama or Step Up or something like that. And then finally, we are talking about efficiency here. So why get the data? Why not get the deliverable directly? So say, hey, here is what they want in terms of the output. Tab 1, executive summary. Tab 2, keyword universe. These are the columns. Tab 3, SERP leaders. Tab 3, competitor universe. vendor competitor profiles, publisher affiliate competitors, winning pages, offer and price band map columns, gap analysis, method, and finally list down all the methodology. So I can tally, I can understand what is coming from where. There are formatting requirements, the final output requirement, da, 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 da. And look, I just put this in, it started going in and it started working. You can see here the exact reasoning. What it did request, what was the response. You can even expand the response. You can see actual response coming from Ahrefs MCP, where it was available, where it failed, it'll show you it failed. Guys, this ran for 36 minutes. So it's not a one-shot prompt. This is, if manually done, and I've been doing SEO for 17 years, this is no joke. I would spend at least a couple of hours. If you're an SEO specialist, you are likely to spend a little more than that to get to the quality of output that I'm about to show you. And now look at the output. This is the output. This is the sheet that it generated. Executive summary, you have your keyword universe, sorted by buckets of intent, sub buckets, volume, difficulty, CPC, traffic potential. Sound familiar, right? Obviously it is. But hey, look, the manual analysis that you do, because Ahrefs does not give you prioritization. This is what you do manually. It is done for you. You are welcome. SERP leaders, again, all the SERP leaders with the landing page. What type of page is this? What domain? Is this a vendor? Is this an intermediary? Again, this data is not available from Ahrefs, but because we have reasoning built in, it can read the content of the page and it can tell you. And now combining the power of Ahrefs MCP with the power of LLM model like a 5.4 thinking. And that is what makes this magical. Again, segment relevance. This is personalized for your own industry. It is telling you what segment is this. So again, not available out of the box from Ahrefs. Even if you manually do it, so even if you had SEO specialist sitting there manually doing this is not available from Ahrefs. You have to manually go in and do it. And then there are notes that they've added specific. This is observation for each line item. This is the competitor universe. Again, segment classification, competitor type, not available out of the box from Ahrefs or any other tool for that matter. Because this is very individualized. It's very personalized. Mainstream hybrid host is only a relevant classification for the hosting industry. If you are project management, that's something else for you, right? Keywords, common or other overlapping indicators were relevant. Is this a high, medium, low? You can see all of these tabs fully filled in with all the potential possible research you could ask for. And this is where the magic comes to life. You see the pricing, it also tried pulling pricing, and where it didn't have, it said, okay, I don't know the pricing. Then I use a ChatGPT Excel add-in and say, hey, for the columns where you don't see pricing, can you please go to these URL, extract pricing? ChatGPT inside of Excel has web search, so it can do that, it can pull actual pricing. And so here you can see verified manually from this page. This is the official pricing. And finally, this is the gap analysis. And then finally, this is the methodology that it followed. So I thought this was pretty cool. I hope that was useful. If you need the exact prompt that I use, which I don't recommend you use, you create one on your own. And I'm happy to review your prompts if you want to DM them to me. But if you want my prompt, comment prompt and I'll DM it to you. And don't forget to give me a follow, because otherwise I won't be able to DM you the prompt.
So the takeaway here isn't Ahrefs. It's not ChatGPT. The takeaway here is the mental model. When you connect a reasoning model to a MCP, the reasoning model does the scaffolding, which turns the reasoning model writes a prompt, the prompt scaffolds the work, and hours become minutes. That's the shift. Not AI does my job, AI multiplies my thinking. Apply this mental model to whatever workflows, whatever tools you use, whatever workflows you run, the framework is the same. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. If you like to see AI tips like these, sign up to my newsletter. Link is in the comments. Continue. I plan to do more of these. Let me know what you think. I look forward to seeing your comments.